The William Tell Overture. It's probably one of the most famous pieces of classical music out there, or at least one of the most recognizable. You've probably heard this tune played many times, usually in cartoons that involve someone riding a horse. This used to be used as a theme song for a radio show and a TV show called The Lone Ranger, which makes people associated with riding a horse. Hi ho, silver away, as the Lone Ranger said. It's actually an excerpt from an overture about William Tell, the famous archer who shot an apple off his son's head with a bow and arrow. Now, we only have a small excerpt of it here, and we're going to play it at a much slower tempo than you just heard in the recording. I'd like to talk first about the rhythm, then I'll talk about the key it's in, and we'll do some echoes, and then I'll do a demonstration of the whole tune, the way that it appears in our book. Let's get started with the rhythm. Now, this song uses the same rhythmic idea repeated 3 different times using different sets of notes each time, but I'm only going to have to teach you how to count it once. So let's start at the very, very beginning. I can see that the piece begins on pickup notes. I know it starts on pickup notes because we're in 4/4 time, as we so often are, and there is only one beat, 2/8 notes together equals 1/4 note, which means there's only one beat of music in that first measure. Well, if there's only one beat of music, it must be the last beat of the measure, which is beat 4. You could also say, but it's the first note in the measure. Yes, I know, except over here is beat 1. What always comes before beat 1? Beat 4. So we know it starts on beat 4. And we know the next measure starts on beat 1. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write in just the numbers in this first phrase. I'm going to ignore the ands for a moment. And I want to point out to you that the phrase ends on beat 3. I know that's the end of the phrase because I think of it as a breath mark, which means the next phrase right here is going to begin on beat 4, just like the first phrase did. So if I were to count this phrase all the way through, it would sound like this: 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. And every phrase after that has the exact same rhythm: 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. Now the last phrase, just a little tag, is different from the others. Let me get a metronome going in my ear and let's count the entire thing through using numbers. Here we go. Ready, set, go. 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, and stop. And just like every other piece we've played that has pickup notes, the last measure, 1, 2, 3, ends on measure 3 because beat 4 is up here at the beginning. When you have pickup notes, you borrow those measures, those beats from the last measure of the tune. So beat 4, they borrowed it from here and put it up here at the beginning instead. Okay, so now let's talk about the notes we actually have to play here. This piece is actually in the key of E flat. So when we do the echoes, we're not going to use our scale number 1, we're going to use scale number 2. So the first note in the song there, which in most pieces we've played, we would have called do. It's do in our concert B flat scale. We're in the key of concert E flat, so I'm going to sing that note as so. If you'll notice it on your scale sheet, the note for the trumpets and clarinets, C, is labeled do in the key of B flat. But if I look down at scale number 2, it's labeled as so I'm going to sing it as so. If you're playing a flute or percussion or trombone or tuba, your first note is a B flat. And in our B flat scale, B flat is labeled do. In the concert E flat scale, scale number 2, that same note, same fingering, B flat is labeled as so. So let me sing these ideas to you, and then I want you to play them back to me, and you're going to hear me playing them on the trumpet. Here I go. So, 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 do, re, mi. so, 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 do, mi, mi, re, ti, so. So, 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 do, re, mi. So, 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 do, mi, do. Now, one thing I really want to draw your attention to, now that we've done those echoes, is this middle phrase. The middle phrase, starting there, ending over here, is the one phrase that's different. And in years past, when I've taught this, the part that always makes everyone confused is the first part of the phrase. So in the first phrase, you have the same note many times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes in a row. C, 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 or they might be all B flats on your instrument. Same thing here. Nothing but C's or nothing but B flats. But in this spot, the trumpets play C, 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 F, A, A. We need to make sure that we're changing notes at the right time. I think the most common mistake I've heard people make here is play C, 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 F, A, A, and then it gets all kinds of messed up. So we have to remember that we're not just playing a bunch of the same note in a row. We have to play exactly as many notes as there are. Mr. Anderson's simple rules of reading music: number 1, make one sound per dot in the page. So if I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 C's in a row here and then an F, I can only play 5 C's. Don't try and add a 6th C. It's not going to work, and the rest of the tune is not going to make any sense at all. So if you play exactly as we did in the echoes, you'll be fine when we play the entire tune all the way through. Now, the entire tune played all the way through sounds like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.